Have you ever found a 1973 Lincoln Memorial penny and thought, it's only worth 1 cent? Think again. That small copper-colored coin could be hiding something that collectors desperately look for. While most 1973 Lincoln pennies are common, certain errors, varieties, and high-grade examples can make a seemingly ordinary penny much more interesting and potentially much more valuable. So before you toss a 1973 penny into a jar, spend it at a store, or overlook it in your pocket change, take a closer look, because the real question isn't simply, how much is a 1973 penny worth? The 1973 Lincoln Memorial cent was struck during an important period in American coinage. On the obverse, you'll see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, with the words "In God We Trust" above his head, Liberty beside him, and the date 1973 below. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the famous Lincoln Memorial design. The reverse includes United States of America, e pluribus unum, and the denomination 1 cent. Millions of Lincoln cents were produced in 1973, so the date alone does not automatically make this penny rare. But that's where things get interesting. Coin collectors know that valuable coins are often created by unusual circumstances. A mint error can occur when something goes wrong during the manufacturing process. The coin might be struck off-center, have unusual doubling, a die problem, missing details, or another abnormal feature. And when collectors discover a genuine error on a common date coin, the coin can become much more desirable. So what should you look for on a 1973 Lincoln Memorial penny? First, examine the date carefully. Look closely at the numbers 1, 9, 7, and 3. You're looking for unusual doubling or other abnormalities. However, don't assume that every blurry or doubled looking feature is a valuable doubled die. Some coins show mechanical or strike-related effects that are not considered major collectible varieties. That's why authentication is important. Next, inspect the lettering. Look at Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, and 1 cent. Pay attention to unusual shapes, doubled edges, missing portions, or strange distortions. Then examine Lincoln's portrait. Look at Lincoln's hair, ear, bow tie, cheek, and other details. A strong and unusual error can sometimes make a coin much more interesting to collectors. Now turn your attention to the edge of the coin. Check for unusual thickness, an abnormal shape, or signs that the coin was struck incorrectly. One of the most dramatic errors collectors look for is an off-center strike. Imagine a 1973 penny where the design is clearly shifted toward one side, leaving a noticeable blank area around part of the edge. That is very different from ordinary wear. The greater the displacement, especially when the date remains visible, the more interesting the coin may become. But there's another factor you absolutely cannot ignore: condition. A heavily circulated 1973 penny with scratches, dents, discoloration, and worn details usually won't attract the same attention as a sharply struck coin in excellent condition. A coin that has spent decades in circulation may show considerable wear, but a high-grade example that still has strong original details and attractive surfaces can be much more desirable to collectors. And this is where coin grading becomes extremely important. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on condition, strike, surfaces, color, and other characteristics. A coin that looks almost new to the average person may receive a very different grade from a professional. That grade can have a major impact on collector interest and market value. Another important thing to understand is the mint mark. Depending on the specific 1973 Lincoln cent, the presence or absence of a mint mark can tell you where the coin was produced. A D-mint mark indicates the Denver Mint. A 1973 cent without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. If you have a 1973 penny with a D, don't automatically assume it is rare. The mint mark itself does not make the coin valuable. Instead, collectors consider the combination of date, mint, condition, strike quality, and any genuine errors or varieties. And there's one more thing you should never do. Don't clean the coin. If you discover an old 1973 penny that looks dirty or discolored, you might be tempted to polish it until it shines. That can actually hurt its collectible appeal. Cleaning can leave scratches, unnatural surfaces, or other signs that the coin has been altered. Collectors generally prefer coins with original surfaces. So if you think you've discovered something unusual, leave the coin exactly as you found it. Handle it carefully by the edges and consider having it examined by a knowledgeable coin dealer or professional grading service. Now, here's the exciting part. A 1973 Lincoln Memorial penny is not valuable simply because it is old. 1973 is not an extremely old date, and ordinary examples generally remain common. But coin collecting isn't only about age. It's about rarity, condition, demand, and mistakes made during production. That means a common-looking penny can sometimes become much more interesting when it contains a legitimate mint error. Imagine finding a 1973 penny in an old collection, inherited coin jar, roll of cents, or forgotten box. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary, but then you notice something unusual. The design is slightly off-center. The lettering looks doubled. The strike appears unusually strong. The surfaces are remarkably well preserved. Suddenly, that 1-cent coin deserves a second look. And that's exactly why collectors inspect their coins carefully. So, how much could your 1973 Lincoln Memorial penny be worth? There isn't one universal price. An ordinary circulated example may be worth little more than its face value, while collectible examples in better condition or coins with significant, authenticated errors can command substantially more. The exact value depends on the specific characteristics of the coin and current collector demand. And remember, online claims about pennies being worth hundreds or thousands of dollars are often exaggerated. Don't rely on a viral video or random price chart. Look at the actual coin. Identify the mint mark. Check the condition. Research the suspected variety or error. And if the coin appears genuinely unusual, get professional opinions. Because the biggest mistake you can make is assuming every damaged penny is a mint error. A scratch caused after the coin left the mint is not the same thing as a genuine mint-made error. A coin that was damaged by a machine, flattened, scratched, chemically altered, or exposed to harsh conditions may look unusual, but that does not necessarily make it valuable. Real numismatic value comes from understanding what you actually have. So the next time you see a 1973 Lincoln Memorial penny, don't dismiss it immediately. Pick it up, look at the date, check the mint mark, study Lincoln's portrait, inspect the lettering, examine the reverse, look for unusual doubling, off-center strikes, die problems, and other legitimate mint errors. And most importantly, compare your coin with reliable references or have it evaluated by an expert before making any big assumptions about its value, because sometimes the most interesting discoveries are hiding in the coins people overlook every day. That old 1973 Lincoln Memorial cent sitting in a jar may be completely ordinary, or it could have a feature that makes collectors stop and take a second look. So before you spend that 1973 penny, inspect it. You might be holding a tiny piece of American history with a story worth much more than 1 cent. If you enjoy discovering rare coins, valuable pennies, mint errors, and hidden treasures hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure to subscribe, because your next penny might be the one you never expected. Keep searching, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of one little cent.